Ooh, 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 I'm about to get seasick. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. But today, it kind of relates to that. Kim, what are you going to teach us today?
I thought you were. I'm going to talk about painting water. And it's one of the hardest things to do when you're painting landscapes and seascapes. So I'm going to help make it simple.
Okay. Well, I wasn't indicating that I was vomiting over your water painting.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I've seen your work, and believe me, there's no one will ever get sick looking at it. Well, so we're going to learn about water. Yeah, you're right about that. It's intimidating to paint water. You think, wow, how do people do this? And there's so much to it, but you're going to simplify it, make it easy to understand. You're going to kind of give us an indication, and we're going to do it differently today than we normally do. So you guys hang on for that, and we'll get this show officially started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes.
We're at Art School Live, or welcome to Art School Live. We're here every weekday at 12 noon. I'm Eric Rhodes, publisher of 𝗵𝗆 magazine, among other things. And I got to tell you that today's going to be a really special day because Kim Lordier is not only a superstar artist, she's also a really nice person. And she's going to teach you how to paint water. So it doesn't get better than that. And by the way, if you think she doesn't know how to do it, let me show you just how good she is. Now, imagine that you could be doing that and painting like that. That would be absolutely incredible. What else do we? Oh, look at that. That's water too. Okay. And then nice. So there's a lot of different options on that. Really terrific. Beautiful. Whoa. So we're going to get about reflections. We're going to get about painting water. We're going to do a lot of different things today. And so this is really terrific. Let's get right to our presentation. Kim, take it away.
Thank you, Eric. First of all, it's an honor to be here. I really appreciate this opportunity to share a little bit of my inspiration, and going to talk about things to look for in our photo references that may be lying to us, and how I go about altering, improving, and making things different in my photos. Playing with color based off of a bad photo. I'll talk about a little bit of color harmony and some things to look for while we're out painting water from life.
And I'll translate because we like to use terms that regular people don't know. And so sometimes when they hear terms like color harmony, they're like, what on earth does that mean?
Color harmony is when all the colors feel right in a painting. Sometimes we have some discordant color or color that doesn't feel like it belongs with the whole image. And I'll talk about that a little bit further along as we get through the slideshow that I'm going to present for you guys.
Good. All right, so today it's a slideshow, and Kim's not demoing for us today, but this is actually important because this will help you really get it, to really understand how water works when it comes to painting it.
Okay, so I'm going to start. Let's see. I need to figure out which thing to do here. I'm going to start off with a little inspiration. I think it's really important that whenever you're in doubt about moving forward in your study or practice, I like to go to those that have done it before for problem solving. And I'm going to share 3 artists that have helped inspired me in my search for painting water. So we're going to go to 𝗞𝗶𝗺, and he was a Norwegian impressionist from the turn of the 20th century. And he's most known for his depictions of rivers and the byways of northern France. He's a true master of interpreting water in oil, paint, and in pastel, which is both my mediums. In this beautiful painting, when we look at the color harmony, we see these warms and cools, so the red and the green. And I'll talk about how we can use a limited palette to create this color harmony. So this would be similar to a red and green a split complement, a double complement, red and green, and a yellow purple color
Okay,
scheme.
Kim, I'm going to interrupt
Yeah.
you there for just a
Yeah.
second because I got to help these people with all that confusing language. We're going to pull up a color wheel right now.
Okay.
And a color wheel, for those of you who don't know, obviously there are three primary colors: red, red, blue, and yellow. And you can, in theory, mix any color out of all of those. They have opposites, right? So the opposite of red is green. The opposite of yellow is purple. And so when you have the opposites, those are what they call complementary colors. And so, and when Kim is referring to complementary colors, you'll know that. Now, Kim, would you explain what you meant by a split?
Yes. So I used the wrong term. A split complement would be where you take a red and you go down across the color wheel from it, and it would be a green. And then the two colors on each side of that green would be considered a split complement. I misspoke, and this is actually, in my opinion, probably a double complement where it's a red and green, the complements, and yellow and purple. And that's for all of us, that's where you limit your palette. So a different approach to, so I'd have a red and green and just a purple.
And will you, for everybody's benefit, will you tell what that means, a limited palette?
We getting into color theory, we could talk about the prismatic color theory, or there's different color theories out there. And this would be just having those 4 tubes of paint, and you'd be able to make mix your secondary colors, and that creates a more harmonious painting quicker if you're just learning how to mix color and understand.
So 4
color.
tubes of paint would be red, yellow, blue, and white.
Well, for this particular 𝗞𝗶𝗺 painting, it's probably a red and a green and a yellow and a purple. And you can see emphasis. You can see, if you get in really close, you can see little pops of yellow. I wish I had my cursor. Anyways,
okay.
Let's.
All right. Well, I don't mean to throw you off. I just have to
it's
translate
good.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all right.
Am I great? So one of the things I brought Fritz up is because he uses water to design with as well. And note in this piece, notice how the light values in the water, where it's the lighter little eddies of water, they quietly lead our way through the painting. And the larger shape of the tree on the left, its reflection very gently grounds the design to the bottom of the painting. And these are tools that we can use to help us think about designing our way through a painting. I'm going to go to share you a couple, 2 others of Fritz's. He extensively studied and painted water from life, and check out the wonderful rhythms that are created in this moving water. He organizes the undulating water to guide our eye again through these paintings, telling us where he wants us to go. So I'm talking about, color, design, all the elements here. But on the left, he sends us to those beautiful yellow trees through the waterways and the reflections. And then on the painting on the right, he's asking us to go enjoy that orange glow in the reflection of the water. Also notice how he's compressed his values in that. What I mean by that is he's linked, kind of, when you squint your eyes, he links and has darkened the darks and kept those shapes all together. And his lightest lights in both of these paintings you'll only find in the sky plane. And this helps to tell the viewer that there's a softer light, soft and low light in both cases. And this also helps to establish the mood. And all these elements support his story that he's telling. And I believe very strongly that being clear about your intention and designing the elements around your concept or idea is clear to moving all of our work forward. 𝗪𝗶𝗵𝗁 is a master in any medium that he picks up. He paints in oil, pastel, gouache. And I also forgot to mention that Fritz Thalow painted in pastel and oil paint as well. And I have had conversations with Skip, and he shared that, he's definitely looked at Thalow. So I feel like there's a little bit of an influence here with how Skip interprets his water. And similar, I pulled up these two slides because they're a little bit similar to the Thalow paintings, where we have a warm painting on the left and a cool painting on the right that both reflect individual color harmonies of the light source. This is really key for me. This is where practice from life. Skip is an avid, outdoor painter, and that information that we can gather painting from life and bringing that back into the studio is very important in trying to create a believable feeling, a believable representation of light. Skip, he expertly handles his values and edges to help tell his story. We'd be hard pressed to find any photo reference that shows this much subtlety and nuance. Notice the edges on the piece on the right, in the moonrise piece. The only hard edges in the moon's reflection are in the moon's reflections in the water, even though the edge around the moon is soft. And this is in keeping with and strengthening his concept about the reflection. Note the cool yellow in the moonrise piece. The whole painting leans cool in comparison to the painting on the left, which leans warm. Excuse me. If he were to introduce that cool yellow into the sunset painting, there'd be a very strong discord in the color harmony that we were talking about earlier. And I'm going to share, I dropped this particular painting into Photoshop, and notice the cool yellow in the sky, that dot of yellow that's outlined with in the circle. That's a yellow that is brought from the painting on the right, and you can see how discordant that cool yellow note, how it doesn't play well with the rest of the painting on the left. I've learned this. I've learned about color harmony. Color's always been really intuitive for me all along. So I haven't really done any deep dive into color theory, but I have just recently started taking a class that Skip teaches on orchestrating color, which has been just hugely beneficial for me. My last inspiration here is going to be a Ukrainian artist by the name of 𝗍𝗫𝗪𝗍. I'm sorry, Dennis, if I've said your name wrong, but he's currently one of my favorite artists to look towards right now for inspiration. He's an avid plein air painter, and his expressive brushwork is just really dynamite to me. His hard and soft edges are used to move our eyes in and around this work. Notice how he gradates the values in the water. This is really important for me. How he graduates the values in the water to help lead our eye into the painting. Our photos, a lot of us do paint from photos, including myself. Our photos lie to us, and they have a tendency to generally blow out or lighten the values in the sky and water shapes. This work is so beautiful to me. I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about how our photos are not telling us the truth.
Okay, so, let's just call a spade a spade.
Okay.
All right. Let's call a spade a spade. Photos are liars, big fat liars.
Yes. Well, I'm sure there's photographers out there that will definitely disagree with us. I don't want to, it's truly a beautiful art form in its own right, and I don't want to take away from that. But my photos lie to me all the time. So, and
Well, let's
I don't
qualify that.
profess to be.
Let's
a
qualify
photographer.
that. Photos are liars when it comes to copying what you see versus what you see on a photo.
That's truth. Okay, truth. So I'm going to share some things to look for in our photo references and compare that to what actually happens in real life. So we're going to take 2 photos, and we'll go back. I'll reference that the 𝗂𝗪𝗁𝗍 slides, the paintings that I showed you. In both of these photos are very paintable. The shallow water in these both of these channels in the photographs appear really light in value. And if we were to paint that, that way, fine, that'd be great. But I know from my time painting from life that this is not actually what we're seeing. When observing still, shallow water from life, the closer the water is to us, the more we will see the depth and color of the bottom of the the sand and the mud down below through the water. And this actually results in a darker value the closer you get to the viewer. Both of these photos are not giving us this truth. Knowing that, we have the opportunity to graduate that value shift, much like 𝗂𝗪𝗁𝗍 did in his 2 paintings that I showed you, to help it. Not only is that the truth that we're experiencing when we see shallow water, it also is a way to lead the viewer into the painting instead of having them move out of the painting. When we look at both of these light shapes in the bottom plane of both of these photographs, those strong triangular shapes actually kind of lead us out of the painting instead of bringing us in. I'm going to show you an example of this in a photograph that is a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit more truthful. Here's a great example of how the value and color changes the closer the water gets to the viewer. You've seen this when you're at the beach and the sand, the color of the sand influences that shallow water. It turns it a beautiful green note, has notes of yellow, turning the water turquoise. In rivers and lakes, the shallower and smoother the water, the more we can see through to the bottom when we're down at our feet. Shallow water in the foreground appears darker because of the light lost to the reflection of the sky off the surface of the water. And we can utilize horizontal lines to create that illusion of the sky reflection on top. And we can generally use vertical strokes in our paintings to help portray the reflections of the reeds in this painting. I'm going to go back to this photo. It's very paintable, very believable. But again, like I said, I know this is lying to me. The lights are blown out and the darks are way too dark in this photograph. And that ball of white, that's expressing the sun as it's traveling down to go behind the earth. That is just a very clear indication that somebody's, painting their photograph. And there are a few key things that I would consider to make this a better painting or to strengthen my idea. And I've dropped this photo into Photoshop to help illustrate this for us. Here I've darkened the water and mud that is closer to us and darkened the pool of water on the right. When we go back, look at how much power that little strip of water on the right-hand side, that white light value is ping-ponging our eyes from that strip of water to the reflection of the sun in the water directly below and to the ball of the sun. So when we knock the value down, oops, wrong direction. Sorry, guys. When we knock the value down in those areas, that light value has less power in our painting, and it helps to control the viewer to where we want to go in the painting, which is about the reflection and the sunset. And I've also darkened the sky all the way around the sun in order to help create that sense of glow. So if we can darken the elements that are surrounding the area to help keep the viewer into the painting. And if you're looking at this on your phone, it's probably going to be hard to see. But in the previous slide, the pier going out towards the horizon line is super, super dark in value. I'm going to go back really quickly to show that. And you can see how dark that is. If we were looking into that sunset this low, I know that that light, that quality of that warm light is going to be influencing everything around it. And it will start to get, that pier will be much warmer towards the ball of the sun and start to cool as it travels out. So these are things to look for in our photos when we're using those as reference. We want to have this idea of how we can help create that illusion of glow. Okay, and I've done this even farther, one more, taken a step further. Notice I've taken the ball of the sun out of that sky. And now for me, it's less likely that somebody's going to say, oh, she's painting this from a photo. And I've also popped up a few of the sparkles in the water plane just to help use those sparkles in the water to help lead our eye through the painting. Okay, photos also give us really odd shapes. Look out for odd or unpleasing shapes in our photos. So there's a beautiful place that I go to, Gray Lodge, up here in the Sutter Buttes. Eric, you're probably I'm in California. And this is a Gray Lodge, which is this beautiful marshy area where it's a wildlife preserve. Anyway, back to the photo. Looking for odd shapes. I always squint first with my photos. And when I squint my eyes at this particular photo, there's a weird fish hook shape. And if I were to paint that, I'd probably automatically overemphasize that fish hook without realizing. And it doesn't make any sense to me. And notice a little bullseye right where that dark spot is, right at the center of the fish hook. That is just very uncomfortable for me. The arc of that shape reaching from the top of where that red line on the right-hand side in the black and white photo, that arc is very unappealing to me. And that half circle is due to our photography and not what's actually happening in the landscape. That the water is undulating in and around in the lower part of the arc, and that's not the actual bank of the water. So it also is not expressing the perspective properly. It's really important to understand what shapes and movements are also aesthetically pleasing to our own eye. I encourage us all to create maybe image files on your computers, and you can label them with design, a color file, a values file, an idea or concepts file. And as you come across your favorite painter's work or paintings that speak to you, ask yourself a little bit deeper why. Why does that particular painting speak to you? And then put it in a file, one of those files, and you will start to find an aesthetic in those files that you are naturally drawn to. I'm going to I turn this upside down. Also, you can turn your photos upside down. You can do this same thing when you're on location painting from life. You know, if you're taking a photograph of the scene that you're painting and you're kind of composing with your photograph, and, you know, or even if with your sight size painting, still taking a photograph of it and seeing what those shapes are doing is really important. But you can flip your photo upside down, squint, and you can still see that that element of that kind of fish hook and that odd shape. Turn it black and white. So I went ahead and popped this into Photoshop, and notice that I've opened up that sharp curve at the lower the lower part of the picture plane where that water meets the reeds. This is more pleasing to me, and can be expressed more organically than that hard arcing edge that the photograph was giving me. I've also taken out the hook and made that bullseye much less important to where that dark note was underneath the carriage of the trees. I also indicated a little bit of movement in the water, preferring to not have a perfect reflection. That also helps the artist to create the illusion of water with it being a little bit ruffled than a perfect mirror reflection. And then in this photo, in the original photograph, the background was blown out and the sky was blown out. So I know back at this location that I was at, there's a butte back there, and I just created that little cool note back there just to remind me that that would be a beautiful color, a purple note, to balance off all the worms in this photo. Naive versus overlapping shapes. When you're creating channels and waterways, it's super, super important. I find the sketch that I did on the left is kind of a naive way of creating the idea of a waterway. And what's really happening is there's overlapping forms to create that perspective. And I liken to, making some areas of the water perfectly level, because water always seeks a level, water sits level in lakes and in slow moving waters. And even when it's moving, it's important to have the tiny areas where it sits absolutely level to establish that horizontal plane. Water always seeks a level line. And let's see. So here's another photograph, again, with that idea of that channel. Notice how this waterway in the photograph seems to stand up when you squint your eye. Squint your eye and it looks like this, like a hat, or you can start creating these different shapes from that don't really make any sense. And this is due to the value being the same from front to back, the need for some horizontal marks to help indicate the top plane of the water, and the lack of overlapping shapes in the landmass to lay the shape flat on the ground. Also notice the curve of the channel also leads our eye out, right out of the picture plane. We want folks to stay in our painting for as long as they can, so they don't go off and buy somebody else's painting. So I went ahead and here are a few suggestions of things to think about. Notice I've cropped the bottom of the photograph a little bit so that we don't have as much distortion to the perspective, especially with these amazing phone cameras that we have. It's really easy to get the distorted perspective. I've also darkened the water in the foreground and added some interest to the channel by breaking the embankment with softer edges and water. I've also decreased the values along the water's edge so that it doesn't create this hard, dark line on either side of the channel. That also causes that water to feel like it's lifting up, the illusion of it lifting up. And I've also increased the cloud reflections in key places to help move our eye back into the photo. And then notice how I've moved the channel from going right out of the picture plane to coming back into the center of the painting, the photo. And these are things
You're so creative.
Oh, for illustration purposes. Thank you. You're very kind.
I think the other thing that if you go back to that other one, go back to the other one for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want everybody to pay close attention to this. If you look on the left side, see how perfect those edges are. I mean, it cuts in and out a little bit, but now go to what Kim changed. Look how she varied the water and the ground going in and out of each other, and how much more interesting that is.
Yeah, and that's our opportunity to take something that's, you know, just lovely, but also make it our own. And that's really important too, whether we're painting from, I mean, painting from life, whether we're out there painting this scene from life or from our photographs. We are the orchestrator of our world that we're creating on canvas. And this is our opportunity to, you know, keep that viewer engaged and tell our particular story.
Hey, Kim, what are you going to
yeah.
do next? Because we're going to take a break, but what's coming up right after this?
You know what? Let me do one more slide
Okay.
And then,
all right.
yeah, because it's just going to illustrate this point even further.
Okay, good.
Okay. So this is, again, hurry up and let's get to somebody else's painting in the gallery. Talking about shapes, squint your eyes with these two photographs. See the strong pathway that pops out of the photo? The hard and fast edges move the viewer's eye or move our eyes through these photos way too fast. Similar to the previous photo of that channel. How important are these shapes to your painting? Do they add to your story? The hard edge and large break in the value make these photos more about the path than the quality of light or the specific location. Not that it's good or bad, just does it work for what you want to say in your painting? Why not take some of that flora and have it grow to soften that rushing movement, the flora of the beautiful pink flowers on the left photo and some of that green stuff on. Just soften those edges and don't make it as important.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay. Ice plants, aren't they? Those purple ones are ice plants.
The ice plant at Pacific Grove in Monterey, California.
I love that.
Both places. Yeah, it's a stunning place. If anybody could ever get out to the Point Lobos and Monterey area, where the very second plein air convention was at.
That's right. Maybe one day again. Okay, so our guest today is Kim Lordier, and we're learning about painting water, but a lot of other tips as well. So hang with us for just a second, and Kim's going to be right back. I just wanted to tell you guys that we have a couple of things that are coming up that you need to know about. The first one is Fall Color Week. Fall Color Week is a retreat that I do. And the whole goal behind our retreats is to paint together for a week and have fun, make friends, and paint in beautiful places. So Fall Color Week, we always go to where there's rich color and beautiful scenery. This year, it's going to be taking place in Door County, Wisconsin. And we've taken over a whole resort. So it's going to be right on the water, so you can paint right out of your room. And it's a beautiful, beautiful area. It's like the Cape Cod of the Midwest. And that's going to be taking place this fall, September 28th through October 5th. And so make sure you check it out. I also have one coming up in, I don't know, just like right around the corner. It's called Paint the Adirondacks. It's the first week or second week of June. And it's a similar retreat. There, we might be able to get you in. You might try, but that's pretty much sold out by now. But we, sometimes we can squeeze somebody in if you want to go to that. So, but Fall Color Week is one you should probably try to go to. And we got a whole bunch more things coming up, and we'll tell you about all that later. But we have a free gift for you right now, and we have a book called 201 Essential Plein Air Tips. Master the art of outdoor painting. Just go to pleinairmagazine.com/ebook. That's our gift to you. And the other gift to you, or your gift to us, is when you subscribe to this program. If you go to YouTube, go to Art School Live, and then hit the subscribe button. That's a gift to us, and it's also a gift to you because that way you get notified when we go live. All right, back to Kim Lordier and painting water.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
I'm going to share a few more slides with you guys. I'm going to talk about I'm going to show you how I've interpreted some of my photographs and information from painting from life. So if you have an overexposed photo, why not have fun with color? So often we have photos that are completely blown out, but provide a wonderful idea. I've painted the scenes at plein air so many times in the morning or midday, But the shapes of those two pine trees that are twisted together have never been pleasing to my eye, no matter what time of day. This photo was taken at the end of a painting session as I was driving away. But this photo sparked an idea for me. You know, what if I changed the type of tree? And so this is a completely made up scene based off of that photo. From my plein air experience, I know that the water would not be just white like it is here. And, so I selected to push the worms that I was seeing. That was, the photograph was kind of influencing. I wanted to push that warm color harmony. And I did a similar to that 𝗞𝗵𝗁 painting with a red, green, purple, yellow double complement. Just 4 colors in essence. To create the shimmering effect on the water, I utilized subtle temperature shifts within the light value shape. Instead of having an all one value like the water is giving us, I know that that light source is, things are darkening the farther in value, the farther away you get away from that light source. I also, changed the placement of the light and brought it to just left of center there. And my lightest light out of all that is just reserved for the reflection in the water right where underneath where the sun is influencing it. So having a blown out photograph, sometimes it just sparks an idea, and the opportunity to play with color is really cool. This photo has actually inspired me to make several different paintings. This is from that Gray Lodge area, just north of Sacramento, California. So I've cropped it. You can change the horizon. You can in these photos you can crop them, change the horizon line, change the color scheme, make it more about the reflection or more about the light on the trees. In this next painting, I chose to completely change the time of day based on, excuse me, this photo reference. So I took that inspirational photo and created a sunset, a moody tonal sunset scene. And this is more of a orange, blue, red, green double complement color harmony. Make note that when using a photo with a specific light source, be aware of how you are manipulating it to create a new scene. In that photograph, I had a very strong light source from the upper left, and because I changed the time of day, my light source is now behind the foliage and the tree line. And so making sure that you're understanding what you're changing is really important.
Good point.
Okay, so plein air compared to your photographs. Here's Point Lobos area in Monterey, California, one of my favorite places on earth. Wheeler's Cove is what this is called. And there was no, and I mean no, white in the sky that day. If you can see the 2 photographs on the top, both of my photos have blown out the sky to white. The sun, this was fall, the sun was much lower in the sky, and everything had this warmish yellow glow to it, but my photographs were not giving me any of that. And the painting right below it is what I did on location. And excuse me. Let's see, I think I put in so you can see the influence of the yellow in this overall feel of the color harmony of this painting. And I want to talk a little bit about painting reflections in water. The reflections appear vertical and vary in size depending on how turbulent the water is. They will also move in height depending if you are standing or sitting. Generally, whatever is dark on dry land, like the dark tree in the center, the reflection will be slightly lighter in value. Light value objects, like the sky plane, will be slightly darker in value. When you'll notice that when you're out on location, if you study like the reflection of a light on a trunk reflecting the water, that would be darker in value than the actual light lit trunk. And same with a snowbank. If you're seeing a snowbank reflected in the water, the value of the snowbank will be darker in value than the snow. In painting reflections, color becomes less saturated, not as strong, not as intense. Generally, reflections of the sky will be darker in value than the value of the sky. Consider keeping reflections simpler in shape than what the photo or Mother Nature is providing. You can use reflections to help design with, much like the slides that I showed of 𝗞𝗶𝗺. Simplifying these shapes will strengthen design and impact of your painting. So this is my plein air oil painting on the right, and the photograph of the same day, the same time on the left. And that is what my photo gave me. The painting on the right is exactly my interpretation of what I was seeing. But when I'm out on location, I'm doing my very best to gather the actual information that I'm seeing, studying the values, studying the color, the quality of light. I had fun. I was out using a limited palette. This is something I learned in Skip Whitcomb's course, and this is what we call a 3-4-5 color chord, and that's just 3 colors, and it's a cadmium yellow medium, phthalo turquoise, and viridian, which is my green, or my blue green, and then alizarin crimson. And as I went out to our coastline to capture the continuous motion of the ocean, the colors and values I actually saw are reflected in the plein air study on the right.
What is the 3-4-5 though? I don't quite understand what that means.
Yeah, so if you want to bring up that color wheel again.
Okay. Color wheel is coming.
Color wheel is coming. Sorry, throw a little monkey wrench in here. So the color wheel here is 12 colors. So we have our primaries, the red, blue, and yellow. Tertiaries, the orange, green, and purple. So a 3-4-5 color color chord is, I started with a yellow, and then I count 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, let's see. Where did I start? 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yellow, orange. Sorry. So you count 3 spaces, and so my phthalo turquoise is a blue green. So 1, 2, 3.
So you don't count the yellow. You go 3 to the left of the yellow.
1, 2. Yeah, 3 to the left of the yellow. Thank you very much. So that gives me my blue green, which I chose to select of phthalo. Thanks, Eric, for saving me here. So blue green. So the phthalo turquoise and the viridian lean to a blue green. And then I went 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to a red purple, which is an alizarin crimson. And then the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brings us back to the primary yellow. And so
okay, wait. So which way I've got to challenge you on this just a second. The second count going to the purple, you're counting from the yellow or you're counting from the blue green?
From the blue green.
So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that brings
1,
you
2,
on
3. Yeah, and then 4.
1, 2, 3. That brings you on the secondary purple.
So from the blue-green, you count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That brings us to a red-purple, the tertiary.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, tertiary,
Yeah.
red, purple. Okay,
And then
you
from
count
there,
from
count
there.
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brings you back to the yellow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Learn something new every day.
Yes, and I thank 𝗞𝗵𝗁 for that. They have a 7th chord. I won't go into that, but there's a lot of great stuff to learn about color theory that I really never studied before until now. So I'm really excited. So, oh, you know what? I put that in my slideshow.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry. So
All right.
here's my color board that I created from those colors. And you can see the direction that I can, take these particular colors. And if you see the color board or the mixed colors on the right-hand side, you can see how beautiful neutral grays I can get. And so
you don't use any colors other than those colors when you're painting that painting.
That's correct. And I'm
Wow.
going to show you, I'll show you this next painting that was created from that color chord. When out painting on location, I look for the quality, color, and angle of the light source. This will influence the color harmony of your entire painting. I always find the lightest lights when painting my water. So I find the highlights and sparkles on the water. And I know from experience that those sparkles are in direct correlation or perpendicular to the angle of the sun. And they will appear much brighter in value than the highlight on any other man-made object. So when we're painting the ocean or running water, the highlight on a wave, let's say, if the wave is curling and the light source is low enough that it's hitting directly on the water part of the wave, that highlight or that sparkle will be much, much lighter in value. It will be, we will have to use our titanium white or whatever our white is, maybe with a very touch of lemon yellow or yellow ochre, something to warm that up slightly. And it'll be much lighter in value than any of the color of the crashing wave, the bubbles of the wave.
Okay.
And so that's something, a key thing to look for.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to show you. So this is a painting that this is a detail of a painting. And the meniscus, no, not our knee, is a place, simply put, a meniscus is the curve in the upper surface of the water, close to the surface of a container or another object like plants, soil, bugs, foam, or bubbles. So that little white, quarter moon there is where that light or the sunlight is directly hitting the meniscus of the foam on top of the water plane. And it's creating a little tiny edge where the lightest light is. And notice that the foam in this painting is slightly darker and warmer in value than that meniscus. I like to save these particular marks or the lightest lights to the very end of my painting process. I use them to help you lead the viewer's eye around my painting, making sure that this is my lightest light in my painting. And I'll show you the painting. And it's probably hard to see it, but I've placed it in, if you're able to see this image, this painting larger, you can see its influence in a couple little notes in the foam as we lead our eye back through the painting. And then my lightest light, oh dear, that's my dog.
We can all do it.
Hold on. Okay, so in this painting, I'll talk about white water. White water from rivers or breaking waves are generally darker. So white water from rivers and breaking waves are generally darker in value than the sparkles or the meniscus. The white water in a river can have a greenish or yellowish cast to it due to the stirred up mud and debris in the fast moving water, as does the foam that collects on the surface of the ocean due to the waves and the wind churning up the organic matter like algae or plankton. The air mixes to make the bubbles in that foam. And so when we're painting, we know that we can keep those values slightly darker in value, and so that we can use our lightest lights to help lead our eye to where we want the viewer to go. And that, folks, is all she wrote, Eric.
All right, so
should I take that? Oh, sorry. That's it.
okay. All right. We're going to edit from this point forward. Okay, Kim. So let's go through real quickly, just off the top of our head, the key principles. When you're painting water, number one is know where your lightest lights are. And people have a tendency to use too much white in their white water. Reserve that for the sparkles on your water. When painting reflections, think about vertical strokes to create reflections and horizontal strokes to create the illusion of the sky influencing the top plane of the water. Watch for those when you're painting the channels. Watch for our photographs and creating really dark sides to that. We don't want our water to stand up. So try and have some interplay and softening of the edges and lightening of the values along channels. Make sure when you are creating the illusion of a waterway or a channel that you're using overlapping shapes to create your perspective and not naive curves. Have fun playing with color. Life.
Paint from life. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that was very good stuff today, Kim. Thank you so much. It's very helpful, and we really appreciate it. We typically do painting demos, and this is an exception because it's much better to see the examples and to show the befores and the afters and here's what you get out of a photograph versus here's what you get out of plein air painting, or versus here's what you get, in various scenarios, or, moving Photoshop around. So really, 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 really terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Eric.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful.
We have something coming up just around the corner, and it's called Digital Painting Live, and it's actually going to show you how to paint digitally in Photoshop, so that if you want to learn how to manipulate paintings in Photoshop, you can do that, but also how you can completely do your own paintings in Photoshop, both as for testing things, trying things, or other things. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out there. So Kim, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And thanks for everybody behind the scenes make this all happen. We appreciate it.
All right. Kim Lordier, ladies and gentlemen, give her a thumbs up and applause. And she is a rock star. Well, we want to remind you guys to subscribe to this program. We're here every weekday at 12 noon. And just go to Art School Live and hit subscribe. Okay. Secondarily, we want to help you remember, that we have a free gift for you. And this is ebook. Just go to pleinairmagazine.com/ebook. And we're here every weekday at 12 noon. On Mondays and on Fridays, it's different. Mondays are Marketing Mondays. Fridays are Feedback Fridays. We have guest artists in between. And we love doing this. This is a lot of fun. We believe anybody can learn to paint, including you. And if you watch any 5 of our videos, just 5 of them, you will get the confidence that you can do this. And then you're going to start painting, and it's going to change your life. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right. We also have Kim coming up on the Pastel Podcast, episode number 1. So make sure to look for the Pastel podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We're very proud of this. It's our newest podcast. Thank you for that, Kim. And what else do we have? That's it. Okay. All right. Congratulations, Kim. And thanks again for doing this. Bye, everybody.